the funny story that I start before visual word, the original thing, I was member of a New Jersey military modelers club. And the idea to be military models, you would make military models and you put them in scenes, realistic scenes. But when I did my scenes, I never did them with people. And they said, you can't do that, you have to have people. And I said, well, I'm against war. And therefore, if nobody shows up, there'll be no wars. And they kicked me out of the club. They actually did that. So from that point on, I did dollhouses, and then I wanted to say something, so I did visual word. I used, what you see here are visual word dioramas. Each diorama is created using animals as metaphors. And then I have a narrative that accompanies each piece. And the narrative tries to take the metaphor and exchange it or relate it to human issues like pollution, like racism, like women's rights, like animal extinctions, political things. And I tried to say something. So when you come to this museum or this gallery, the children can come and they can see animals, because the environment becomes animated. And the people can read the real issues. And I'm hoping that people will look at the issues and then find themselves doing something about it. It's like a visual nudge to do something about all the issues that govern our lives, like pollution and animal extinction and racism and so forth.
So there's a numbered pamphlet that goes as a corresponding to each diorama.
Yes.
With your descriptions of narratives.
Yes, so you would look at a piece, you look at the number, and then you read the narrative. And then I'll be here to answer any questions. And sometimes, you know, you have an interpretation of the piece. It might be different than my narrative. My narrative tries to draw conclusions concerning human issues. And that's what this whole thing is all about.
So how does the narratives apply to youth and using their imaginations, let's say for social studies, history, or art class?
It's, without the graphic themselves, the pieces themselves are perfect for children to learn. You can come to it, you can bring children to a piece and ask them what they see. And children, imaginations, what they do is they create a whole story by themselves. They create a whole story about the piece. It doesn't necessarily have to be what my story is, but it's their story. So what happens is they can look at this, they can come to this gallery and look at all these pieces and create these wonderful stories and use their wonderful imagination. So at the same time, my pieces are good for children to generate interesting imagination ideas, and great for adults because it moves and motivates them, provokes them to do something about the issues that govern our lives.
So what's your 1 to 5 year plan for your dioramas down here through the expansion of art in retail space that's not being filled by commercial retail businesses?
The name of the organization that's managing the art downtown Rutland, there are six museums or 6 galleries, 1 residence. The name of that is the idea that art is life. Now, interesting, art is vitality. Art is vital. Now, the word vital comes from the word vita, which means life, the Latin word. So therefore, art is life. It gives you the ability to look at some executions, and then you see the execution and relive your life, relive the emotions. So art is very important to generate interest and downtown interest and revitalize the Vermont. Not only Vermont, not only the state, not only the Rutland as a city, but as a state. We have a demographic problem, and we have to create people. We have to create environments and attractions that draw people to Vermont and to Rutland. And if we don't, we're going to be in very bad straits economically. And I'm trying to make the contributions. And so I think my exhibit is an attraction that can draw people to downtown.
I don't think that there is any place that can have too much art. I think art has the capacity to be transformative. I think art has a presence that can affect the quality of all sorts of things, you know, not just a person's sense of himself, but a community, a sense of community. So, yeah, I've been working hard for the last 7 years. Started with one small gallery over in Center Street Alley, and I did run the gallery at Castleton for 35 years. Actually, I started the gallery at Castleton. Castleton didn't have a gallery, and that was a long time ago. It's called the Christine Price. I named it the Christine Price after a woman who lived in Castleton, and she was an anthropologist and a children's story illustrator book. And she left some money to the college for art when she passed away.
Can you speak to some of Mr. Scott's dioramas and how they might appeal to economic, social, environmental ideas that might impact Rutland and Vermont as a...
As long as I can call him Lou, I think I can do that. I think Lou's things are absolutely incredible. Categorically, I think of them as outsider art. And I think outsiders are driven more by a passionate compulsion than what you would call artists, who usually have a sense of purpose and a sense of intention. I've always been a fan of outsider art. My favorite piece is it has a long title about a throne, but it's done by James Hampton, who was an African-American, worked as a janitor, and in his garage he worked on this thing for 18 years, I believe, 15 to 18 years, and it's incredible. It's in one of the museums in D.C. It used to be in the National Portrait Gallery, but I don't think it's there anymore. I think they've moved it to another. But, you know, if you want to see something interesting, Google James Hampton. So anyway, so now we have two more galleries, which is this gallery we call the B&G because it used to be the Boys and Girls Club. And we have another gallery around the corner on West Street. It's 150 West Street. And then there is the Christo Tribute, which is in the alley directly across from the Rutland Post Office. And there's a building across the street we hope to turn into an artist's workspace. And on the facade of that, we're going to put a painting, a big, it will cover the whole wall.
Well, I'm an independent artist, and I started the Carving Studio and Sculpture Center in West Rutland 30-odd years ago. I do a lot of writing as well as art, and I write for the Rutland Herald, Times Argus, and Sculpture Magazine and Art New England.
And how do you feel about Mr. Scott's Experience the Wow fantasy dioramas?
I think they're absolutely fantastic. I mean, walking in here was like walking into Wonderland. I mean, I just couldn't believe the myriad worlds. And I've gone and looked at each one of them and read a lot of the writing that Lou has done. And I'm hoping to be able to write about it for the Rutland Herald. I think it really deserves a major article. It's extraordinary work.
That's kind of you. So what, in terms of the narratives and how he described his own pieces, what's the nexus for, let's say, youth and students to come up with their own imaginations in terms of what the narratives would be from some of these pieces?
Yeah, so I talked with some of the organizers of the show and said that I thought they should bring as many kids and art students from high school here. I should think it would be an absolutely incredible inspiration. For me, the most important thing is that he's really dealing with current issues in an extremely thoughtful way, but also creating these dioramas that are so approachable so that you are enticed at first, just by the color, the figurines, and then when you really get into looking at it deeply, you get a sense that he's talking about these global issues, global warming, extinction of animals, mythology, the effect of culture on us. I mean, I think they're really profound pieces.
I'm going to try to do a show as early as I can next year, a show on PEGTV that talks about more philosophy. I'm going to do two things. I'm going to go on PEG with my show. I'm going to show my pieces, and I'm going to show them how I develop them, how you can, how people, you don't have to be creative to be creative. I said that again. You don't have to be creative to be creative. You have to be full of life.
We might have it